Initially, it'll seem like it's a lot. It's drastic changes, but we're all going through it together. Just imagine, we as grandparents don't have those children every day. Some of us might, but be as supportive and encouraging as you can of your family. It does work. It is going to make a difference. Stick through it. And it is a fix. It's not a Band-Aid. This is a fix.
Welcome to the Soaring Child Podcast, where parents of children with ADHD learn tips and tricks to help their child soar at home, at school, and in life. We feature interviews with experts, medical professionals, and parents just like you who are learning how to reduce ADHD symptoms using food and other natural strategies. Because children with ADHD deserve to soar just like every other child. I'm your host, Dana Kay. Hello, parents. This is Dana Kay here with another edition of the Soaring Child Podcast. Now, today on the podcast, we are doing something we actually haven't done before. And I am sure there are a lot of listeners out there that have very involved parents, grandparents, and other family members in their child's life. Firstly, I think it's absolutely amazing. I am very, very jealous because my parents and my husband's parents live in Australia while we live in the USA. So unfortunately, they can't be as involved as they would like or we would like. But unfortunately, sometimes this can prove to actually be an obstacle as they may not understand some of the changes that you're making in your child's life to help them thrive. And that is why I am so extremely excited today to talk about just that. Now, my guest, Carolyn Hudson, is a grandma of two precious boys, one who has ADHD and one who has gut health issues, and she's going to help us navigate this topic. Now it's time to welcome Carolyn to the Soaring Child. Hi, Carolyn. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks so much for having me. I'm excited to be here today.
Yes, it's super exciting. I'm really grateful that you chose to come on and talk to me. Coming onto a podcast, it's a funny thing when you think about it, but I mean, having a grandchild that has been through the program, my program, and has seen so much success, I'm really, really interested to hear your perspective and, how it was for you as a grandparent when they were going through that program. I think a lot of listeners out there will find your perspective very, very enlightening. So can you maybe just start by telling us a little bit about yourself?
Sure. I am a mom, first and foremost. I have two adult daughters, one who's married and has children, and Bo has actually gone through the program with you. And so for me, being a grandparent of grandchildren who have these issues has really been enlightening. And so I'm really excited to share, my side of it as a grandparent as to what I've seen and what we've gone through along with the parents.
Yeah, definitely. And Bo, he was, he made such huge changes. Well, Andrea made such huge changes in his life, and they had some really, really great success. And so, I'm really, really excited to sort of lift up the covers, maybe, as you would say, and see how you handled the whole thing. Now, your daughter Andrea was the one who originally told you about their plan to make dietary changes and to reduce inflammation in their body to help Bo. What did you first think about it, and sort of did you have any concerns or hesitations?
Well, I'm sure, with all the dietary things that we see, right, especially at the beginning of the year as adults, we see all these diet, nutrition, exercise and such. You're dealing with children and such. And so at first you kind of go, this has got to be another scam, is this real, type of thing. But for me, with my daughter, it's always been fully supporting them and their families, and what they're, I know that they both do their research thoroughly. And so when they come to me and say, Mom, I look at this is what I'm thinking of doing. This is what we're going to do, type of thing. I mean, I'm all in, because you don't know until you try.
Exactly.
And so, I come from the healthcare industry, and in the healthcare industry, my background has always been in healthcare in my career. And one of the things that I've learned through this process is that with healthcare, medication's the quick Band-Aid.
Mm-hmm.
Let's just put them on medication. Well, that medication isn't going to fix it. It's going to do a temporary Band-Aid. And, and then when something else comes along, you'll get something else. I'm not against medication, but in this process, everything that I've learned in diet and nutrition and how we eat and what we eat affects us has been even helpful to me. And so, I know for her, she wasn't willing to do the medication route, which I'm really grateful for, because I have adult friends who have been on medications their entire lives and now can't function without it at all. So for Bo, I'm really excited to where he is today and how this has changed him. And so it's not a scam. I can tell you that it's no scam.
No, well, it's good to hear. Yes, I can attest to the fact that it's not a scam. But thank you for confirming that. I love that you come from the perspective of being in the healthcare industry, and it's really surprising the number of families that actually contact us, traditional doctors, nurses, people in the traditional healthcare industry, and they're like, well, when it's all of a sudden your child, it all changes. And so thank you for sharing that. I think that it is quite enlightening. And I suppose when you see it firsthand, it makes it sort of much easier to go, okay, well, yeah, maybe what we are doing is not okay. And maybe there is a better way. Now, look, I love that you supported her and that you were fully on board. Many grandparents out there have told me, I think, the biggest challenge they face is not knowing how to sort of adapt when their child or their grandchild visits, like not knowing what to cook, where to eat, or, what candy is safe to spoil them with. Do you have any tips that have helped you adapt?
Yeah, actually, at first it was a little nerve-wracking because we as grandparents naturally want to give them what they want, right? We want to take them for popcorn and candy and ice cream and that kind of thing. But I think the most important thing has been that in supporting my daughter and knowing that she's done her research and she's got her regimen in place, she's always had a list for us. So when she comes into town, because she doesn't live in Texas where we do, but when they come into town and I have the boys, I have a list and I have of what they can and can't eat. Most importantly, just what they can eat. She's got a menu for me so I can pick and choose what I want to cook. And I've got the ingredients because she's let me know in advance what I need to go and purchase and such. So at first you kind of think, because you don't know what you're dealing with, you think it's a little challenging, but once you get into the routine of what that grocery list looks like, what that menu looks like, there's so many options. And the options are a lot of the things that we're eating today. It's just modified and it's better and it's healthier. So we just basically go off what she has listed out for us. We go buy the groceries, we cook it, we let the kids kind of help in the menu planning when they're here and what they want to have, and then we fix it. So us ourselves as adults and grandparents, we've eaten the same meals that they have, and they're actually really good.
Yeah, no, totally. I agree. And I think that's a really great advice, because I think that it does become normal. You might be used to providing the popcorn that has the chemicals and the butter on it, but let's just buy a different type of popcorn and that's better for you. And it's actually, going to give them the nutrients they need and not take away from the other nutrients they need. And so at first, yeah, it can be really overwhelming. And yeah, look, I think for even us as parents going through this with our children, it's overwhelming for us at first as well. And we're dealing with it, 24 hours a day. And so just planning ahead is a really, really great approach. And when you get your sort of staples, you don't even have to think about it anymore, do you?
No, our pantry is stocked with things that they eat. So when they come, it's there, it's already there. The pastas that they can have, the snacks that they can have, it's already there. It's become part of our routine to have available for them here.
Yeah, which is amazing. And you can also do the same with, if you want to take them out for ice cream.
Yeah.
There are places out there that has, dairy-free, better for you ice cream. If you want to take them, buy some candy for them, there are places out there that provide better for you candy solutions. So it's just slowly a little bit adapting. And I always tell families that I'm working with, and I think this applies to grandparents as well, Rome wasn't built in a day. You don't have to from today you have all of this stuff that you're used to giving, and then tomorrow give none of it. And so it's really adapting and slowly making those changes, and just doing a little bit of research about what's in your area. And I'm sure your children will be happy to provide you that research. As a part of the program, we actually have a letter to grandparents and other caregivers giving them some ideas on how that they can adapt their homes as well. So wondering if Andrea provided you that back in the day when she went through the program.
Okay. And still today, I get it on a daily basis,
that's amazing.
Me on things that she's uncovered and new recipes and such.
Oh, awesome. And so what positive changes have you seen in your grandchild since, they began implementing these natural strategies?
Oh my gosh, so many. Attitude for one. He used to have these outbursts that would literally bring me to tears because I knew that wasn't him, and it was heartbreaking to see that. But his attitude, he smiles all the time, so he's more loving. He's always been loving, but he's even more so, and he's very appreciative of things now. And now he understands, he doesn't complain about the restrictions and the limitations anymore. Now he understands why. Mm-hmm. He understands what it does to his stomach, because when he would sneak food, or he sneaks food because he's a kid, things happen, right? But he knows what that feels like to his gut now when he does that. And so him being more open and honest has gotten a lot better. So if he does sneak something, he does tend to come out and say, I ate something, my stomach hurts. But he now knows what's good for him and what isn't, which is really helpful, because we'll go somewhere and I'm like, hey, you want some peanuts or something? And I can't have those. Those have soy. I can't have them. So he helps me keep him on track. Yeah. So most importantly, those outbursts, he's a kid. So you're going to get, one here and there, but they're not like they used to be. He's definitely a totally different child.
Well, that's amazing. And I think the best thing is seeing that smile on his face, isn't it? It's like, how could you not want to see that? And when your kid's not happy, but then now wake up every day with that smile on their face, that in itself is worth everything, really, at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Totally. Now, what advice do you have for other grandparents out there who might be listening in? And I hope listeners today, you're going to listen into this episode and go, look, I think I want to share this with, my parents, being the grandparents, or other caregivers. What advice do you have, Carolyn?
Initially, it'll seem like it's a lot. It's drastic changes, but we're all going through it together. Just imagine, we as grandparents don't have those children every day. Some of us might, but, be as supportive and encouraging as you can of your family. It does work. It is going to make a difference. Stick through it. And it is a fix. It's not a Band-Aid. This is a fix. They're going to eat healthier. They're going to be aware of it. And again, you'll get that child back, is the biggest thing, that child does come back. And they're not medicated. They don't have that glazed look of that medication, and they're eating healthier, and that they'll carry on through their adult lives because they're so used to eating healthy.
Yeah, no, that's so true.
Just don't give up. Stick with it. Support your families. And, can do your contribution and doing your part when they're visiting with you the best that you can, and ask for those lists from your moms, have them make that menu and the list of what they can have so that you've got that readily available.
Yeah, that's some great tips there, Carolyn. I think also when I was first starting to make some changes back in the day, and my mum would visit or things like that, I'd always give her stuff to give them, or I'd always sort of give her those ideas. I think that's great advice. And you mentioned something about, showing them support, and you're not living it on a daily basis. And that's really a big part of this, is that parents with kids with challenges are there 24/7 with those kids that are melting down. The caregivers, the grandparents or other caregivers, they're not there all the time. They don't see the impact that it has on the whole entire family and the peace in the home. And so, understanding that and realizing that, it's not a life to live when your kid's constantly melting down. And so maybe just think outside the square a little bit, because, they might be great for you, but because they're not great for their parents doesn't necessarily mean they don't have challenges. A lot of the time they may be great for the grandparents, they may be great for other caregivers out there, but then they let it all out when they come home, because home is their safe zone. So I appreciate you bringing that up. Now, do you have any advice for parents who might be nervous about bringing up these changes to their parents, to the grandparents?
No, I think that the hardest part for a parent is to fully feel and know that the grandparents are going to be supportive and that they're going to do their part, because we are the ones that spoil the grandchildren. So we're the ones that can veer off. We have an excuse. We're the grandparents. But I think if you, as a parent, lay out the importance of really needing the assistance from the grandparents and being part of it, and this is a family issue, extended family included, because they go to birthday parties with aunts and uncles and that type of thing. So it's really an extended family support group as well. But just sit and explain to your grandparents as to what you're dealing with, what you're going through, and then how you're going to help them help you, support the process. One other thing too is that we completely think that with diet, that you can only eat at home and you got to eat these things. And, one of the things that I'll mention is Andrea has been really good at even, being able to provide a treat. So if we go out to Chick-fil-A or something down that line, she tells me what they can and can't have from Chick-fil-A, and they can still enjoy those things. So it's really not as restrictive as we think it's going to be. It's just really understanding the program and then what those boundaries look like to be able to do it. But it's doable. It's really doable. And you just have to be willing to do your share to keep, we're doing it for the children.
Exactly. We're doing it for the children and doing it for their lifelong health and success. And Carolyn, I think that was an amazing way to end this episode, because really we're doing it for the children. I am so grateful that you made the time to actually come on here and join me and share from your own experience what it feels like to be a grandma of a child who has had to make these changes to help them and to help them be successful. I thoroughly appreciate it. I was just telling you before we started how much, I absolutely adore your daughter. And she's such a credit to you as a parent to her. And I appreciate you coming on and sharing your experience with our listeners today.
I appreciate it. Thanks so much for having me.
Thank you once again for joining me today. Now, listeners, thank you for tuning into this week's episode of The Soaring Child. Please share this episode with anyone you may think may benefit from this conversation. I'm Dana Kay, your ADHD health practitioner. Keep on thriving. Thank you for listening to the Soaring Child podcast today. To learn more about how to help your child with ADHD soar using natural strategies, visit our website at ADHD Thrive Institute.com and follow us on social media at ADHD Thrive Institute.